He is believed to have cracked his head and is now being treated for a concussion. A female stunt double was also reportedly hospitalized.
The first wave of reports painted it as a minor accident, a stunt gone wrong on set. But as details trickled out, whispers suggested Holland's condition was far more serious than Marvel initially let on. Now, with conflicting updates about his health and rumors of production delays, could Spider-Man himself be forced to hang up the mask for good? The first signs: injuries, hospital runs, and a dangerous pattern emerging. Tom Holland, the face of Spider-Man for a generation, has built his reputation not only on his acting, but on his willingness to perform physically demanding stunts himself. But in recent months, what began as dedication to authenticity has escalated into repeated medical emergencies. Evidence from on-set incidents, media reports, and Holland's own words show a clear decline in his health, with his most recent hospitalization raising fears that his condition may be worsening. The first alarming reports came during the filming of Marvel's latest Spider-Man installment. Multiple outlets confirmed that Holland suffered a severe head injury after a stunt went wrong, resulting in him being rushed to the hospital and treated for a concussion. According to an early update, his father confirmed that Holland would be away from filming for an extended recovery period, with production delayed by weeks.
Tom Holland was just rushed to the hospital after a stunt went wrong. So while filming the new Spider-Man movie, Tom Holland cracked his head during a fall and is currently being treated for a concussion. Now, Tom's dad has confirmed that Tom will be away from filming for a while, and it's believed that this fall could set the production back by weeks.
Another update linked to the same production cycle emphasized how dangerous the situation was. Reports stated that Holland was not the only one hurt during the sequence. A female stunt double was also hospitalized, underscoring the extreme risks involved in the film's stunt work.
He is believed to have cracked his head and is now being treated for a concussion. A female stunt double was also reportedly hospitalized, and this came from The Sun. We don't know exactly what happened. Obviously, there's big stunts and everything going on right now, and he does a lot of his own stunts along with Jackie Chan's team there and whatnot, so we know there's a lot of dangerous things going on.
This incident is far from isolated. Over the years, Holland himself has openly discussed a pattern of serious injuries sustained on set or during personal activities. In one interview, he recalled a terrifying rugby accident that left him bleeding heavily and nearly caused permanent nerve damage and loss of vision.
That's when you freak out because you're like, oh God, I'm like, and there's a lot of blood just dripping. So I get subbed off and the nurse on the side just puts a bit of glue there, to stick it together. And at that time, you don't really notice and you think you're all right. And then literally an hour later, it's just getting thicker and thicker and thicker. And I'm ending up with this run to the hospital on the way home because my coach was just like, suck it up, it's fine.
You'll be fine.
Run there. They're like, if you were any later, you would have had nerve damage and personally potentially lost your eyesight, whatever it was.
That same memory was retold in another segment where Holland emphasized how close he came to a life-altering outcome.
Run to the hospital on the way home because my coach was just like, suck it up, it's fine.
You'll be fine.
Run there. They're like, if you were any later, you would have had nerve damage and personally potentially lost your eyesight, whatever it was, and they had to glue it and a little bit of stitches or whatever it was.
The cumulative picture emerging is one of escalating medical strain. Even outside professional sports or blockbuster sets, Holland has admitted to sustaining alarming injuries. In one conversation, he described a snowboarding accident so bloody that he FaceTimed his girlfriend before even seeking hospital treatment.
I went snowboarding and I have an amazing photo of me FaceTiming you with blood all over my face.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I answered the phone, he's covered in blood. I was like, what are you doing? It's been
I was like, how cool is this?
That's very actory to do. Instead of the hospital, you call your girlfriend to FaceTime and show her how much blood. Hey, look at all this blood on my face.
Filming demands have only worsened his condition. During the making of Cherry, Holland dislocated his ankle in a brutal accident that left him limping through the final 2 weeks of shooting.
I dislocated my ankle right before the scene that we just watched when I'm running towards the car. I was running, and I just rolled over on my ankle, and I sort of looked down, and my ankle was looking the wrong way. And I was like, oh God. And
this consistent trend of dangerous setbacks raises larger concerns. Every time he returns from one recovery, another incident occurs, often worse than the last. Holland's own admissions about physical exhaustion on set highlight how relentless the cycle has become. Injury, recovery, then another injury, all while Marvel and Sony continue to structure projects around his availability. Part of what makes his situation more alarming is Holland's approach to social media. In 2022, he revealed that constant online pressure was taking a toll on his mental stability, fueling speculation about his ability to handle both physical and psychological strain at the same time.
I decided to delete my Instagram. I would be on set working, I'd come and sit in my chair and just scroll. It was becoming a problem. I was just obsessed with it, and I was obsessed to find out what they thought about me. So I decided to make an announcement and say that I'm taking a break from social media. And the thing that really upset me is the press ran with that, and they tried to make out I was having this mental breakdown. They took the story in the wrong direction.
The pattern is unmistakable. Tom Holland's physical injuries, combined with the added strain of public scrutiny, have created a dangerous cycle of deterioration. His latest hospitalization is not an isolated accident, but the continuation of a years-long struggle with health risks that appear to be compounding. Escalation, on-set accidents, public strain, and industry pressures. Following the concussion and hospitalization that halted Spider-Man production, Tom Holland's health narrative took on new urgency. What had previously been framed as the occasional occupational hazard of an action star began to look like a sustained pattern of worsening physical setbacks and accumulating tolls on his body. Each new incident provided a different angle on the pressures Holland faces, revealing not only medical vulnerabilities, but also the structural strain of carrying a billion-dollar franchise on his shoulders. One of the starkest illustrations of the risks comes from Holland's own detailed recollections of on-set accidents. During a promotional appearance, he described being struck in the face during filming for Spider-Man due to a stunt miscue.
I heard you accidentally got punched in the face.
Like if I was gonna punch you in the face, you would vocalize it as well. You'd be like, "Rah!" That's when you would slip it. And in the Spider-Man mask, I probably couldn't see you right now. For some reason, the stunt double just forgot to make the noise. And he has this big metal sort of gauntlet on.
The image of Holland being struck by a gauntleted stunt performer underscores the constant risk actors face when combining physical acting with high-pressure combat choreography. Unlike one-off sports injuries, these accidents recur repeatedly across multiple projects. Holland himself has admitted that the relentless nature of stunt work creates a cumulative strain, where even minor missteps can result in lasting damage. That cumulative effect is also visible in his growing list of hospital visits. Reports have documented injuries sustained outside the Spider-Man franchise, such as Holland's physically punishing role in Cherry. The dislocated ankle described in Part 1 was only one of several brutal setbacks from that shoot. His own reflection on the experience makes clear how demanding it was. The filming required extended combat training, sustained work in extreme conditions, and emotional exertion that compounded his physical injuries. Holland admitted that he often felt overwhelmed by the dual demands of emotional and physical performance. The visual evidence of Holland appearing frail during recovery has fueled public concern. Footage released from his hospital stays shows him attempting to engage with fans, even while visibly weakened.
Oh my god. Don't make me hurt you.
No, I don't like it. Okay. I'll be good now. Live.
You're doing great.
Yeah. Hello.
I feel like you're gonna fall back. No, because then if he falls back there, he's gonna...
This footage, meant to reassure fans, instead highlighted the contrast between Holland's upbeat public persona and his physical fragility. Even in controlled public settings, he appeared drained, reinforcing the impression that his health crises extend beyond isolated accidents. The risks extend beyond Holland alone. As revealed during the Spider-Man production incident, other stunt performers were also injured. When a female stunt double was hospitalized alongside him, the incident spotlighted the scale of danger embedded in modern superhero filmmaking. Productions rely on elaborate wirework, vehicle stunts, and explosive set pieces, all designed to maximize spectacle, but all increasing the chance of life-threatening mistakes. Holland, known for insisting on performing many of his own stunts, places himself directly at the center of these hazards. While his physical injuries dominate headlines, Holland's statements also reveal a parallel struggle with mental and emotional pressure. His withdrawal from social media, framed by him as a necessary step for mental health, underscores the cumulative impact of constant public scrutiny. By his own admission, scrolling through criticism became compulsive, feeding a cycle of anxiety that overlapped with the physical exhaustion of stunt work. The press's portrayal of that decision as a nervous breakdown only amplified the sense that his health, both body and mind, was deteriorating in the public eye. The combination of these factors has drawn comparisons to other Marvel actors who have spoken out about the toll of physical roles. Stars like Hugh Jackman and Chris Hemsworth have acknowledged the strain of maintaining extreme physiques and enduring stunt-heavy schedules. doubles, but Holland's case is distinct. His injuries are not merely preventative challenges, but repeated hospital-level emergencies. Each new report adds to a record that increasingly looks unsustainable. The larger consequence is the impact on production timelines. Every delay in filming carries financial stakes measured in millions of dollars. Studio executives depend on Holland's availability to anchor some of the most profitable projects in the industry. Each hospitalization not only jeopardizes his personal well-being, but destabilizes carefully structured release schedules, press tours, and merchandising campaigns. In this way, his personal health crisis becomes an industry-wide liability, intensifying the pressure for him to return to work prematurely. Holland's charitable activities highlight a further dimension of this tension. At one point, he visited children in a Los Angeles hospital, dressed in full Spider-Man costume, bringing hope to young patients.
Guys, it's Tom Holland here. We are at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We are wandering around, meeting some of the patients, and having a good time. Should I show you a flip? Yeah. Do you want to see a flip? Oh my god, you did do a flip. Nice to meet you, I'm Spider-Man.
I saw a kid wearing Spider-Man suit.
No way. Did they look like these? These are real Spider-Man shoes.
This image of Holland giving strength to children while simultaneously battling his own hidden medical struggles reinforces the paradox of his current situation. Publicly, he embodies resilience and hope. Privately, he cycles through injuries, treatment, and hospital recoveries that suggest his own stability is eroding. The mounting evidence paints a picture of a young actor trapped in an accelerating cycle. High-risk stunts leading to serious injuries, public appearances concealing fragility, mental strain amplified by constant scrutiny, and industry pressure demanding rapid returns to form. The trajectory is not one of isolated setbacks, but of worsening conditions, where each new incident deepens the concern about his long-term future, both as Spider-Man and as an individual whose health may already be compromised beyond what fans fully realize. Crisis Point, worsening hospital updates, and the future of Spider-Man. Tom Holland's latest hospitalization is different from the rest. Unlike previous incidents that were quickly followed by reassurances of recovery, reports emerging from his most recent accident have carried an undertone of uncertainty. Insiders linked to the production acknowledged that Holland was still under ongoing medical supervision, with filming delays extending longer than originally scheduled. For the first time, questions about whether Holland's health might be worsening, not just temporarily compromised, began to dominate the conversation. The seriousness of the incident is underscored by the scale of stunts Holland was attempting. Crew members described sequences designed to be among the most ambitious ever attempted in a Marvel film, involving wire-assisted jumps, high-speed vehicle work, and explosive set pieces.
We do know this is some of the biggest stunts for the MCU's ever done, like the most dangerous and the most risky. I know they're doing a lot of cable work and wire work. I mean, we've seen them on the cars and whatnot. We've also seen them doing exploding buildings. They have a bunch of prison scenes coming up and stuff like that.
Placed at the center of such sequences, Holland faced an environment where the chance of serious injury was not an outlier, but an expected cost. His insistence on performing many of his own stunts intensified the risks. Unlike other actors who leave the most dangerous moments to doubles, Holland has consistently emphasized that he feels obligated to bring realism to his portrayal by physically embodying Spider-Man's agility. That dedication has earned admiration from fans, but has also left him vulnerable to repeated medical crises. The physical evidence of this toll is cumulative. In earlier parts of his career, Holland could shrug off injuries, often treating them as badges of honor. But with each new hospitalization, the impression grows that his body is carrying long-term damage. During promotional interviews, he occasionally let slip signs of strain, such as recounting how extended injuries left him limping through shoots, or how fatigue forced him into recovery periods between filming. The latest incident, however, suggests that recovery is becoming slower, with lingering effects replacing the quick rebounds of his early 20s. This trajectory has forced difficult conversations inside the industry. On one side, Holland is indispensable. He is not only the current Spider-Man, but also the cornerstone of Marvel and Sony's joint universe, anchoring films that generate billions in revenue and drive merchandise sales worldwide. On the other side, his recurring health issues now represent a structural risk. Each hospitalization carries not only personal consequences, but also financial fallout, production delays, insurance complications, and potential reshuffling of interconnected Marvel storylines. Executives face an unappealing set of options. Scaling back Holland's stunt work risks alienating fans fans who celebrate his authenticity and agility. Recasting Spider-Man would destabilize the franchise at its commercial peak. Pressuring him to return quickly risks exacerbating his injuries and drawing public backlash for neglecting his well-being. As a result, insiders describe a tense balance, with studios simultaneously dependent on Holland and constrained by the increasing fragility of his health. The broader implications reach beyond Holland. His repeated hospitalizations reflect a larger pattern in Hollywood's blockbuster economy, the prioritization of spectacle over safety. In an era when superhero films dominate the box office, studios compete to stage ever more ambitious action sequences. Audiences have grown accustomed to heightened realism, where actors' physical performances are showcased as proof of commitment. Holland's career embodies this cultural expectation, but his worsening health demonstrates the cost. The body of a young actor sacrificed for cinematic authenticity. Even within Marvel, parallels can be drawn. Chris Hemsworth has spoken about the exhaustion of maintaining his physique for Thor. Hugh Jackman admitted that the physical toll of Wolverine left him with lasting pain, yet both managed to balance those pressures with longer recovery cycles and fewer hospitalization-level emergencies. Holland's experience stands apart in its frequency and severity. His repeated injuries, ranging from concussions to dislocations, suggest not just the strain of superhero roles, but an unsustainable escalation. The industry's handling of Holland's crises also exposes the tension between public image and private reality. In carefully managed appearances, Holland continues to project energy, charm, and gratitude toward fans. Yet footage from hospital visits and recovery stages sometimes reveals a contrasting picture, a visibly weakened actor pushing himself to meet expectations despite ongoing strain. This dissonance reinforces the impression that behind the heroic image is an individual whose health is deteriorating in ways not fully acknowledged by the studios that depend on him. Fan response reflects both admiration and fear. Social media timelines filled with hashtags like #PrayForTom and #GetWellSoonTom after news of his hospitalization broke, underscoring the personal connection audiences feel to him. But alongside prayers came anxiety. Posts questioning whether Holland should continue risking his health for Spider-Man gained traction, with many urging studios to protect him by reducing stunt demands or extending recovery timelines. The groundswell of concern reflects a shifting perception. Holland is no longer just an actor portraying a hero, but a young man whose health crises resonate with audiences as a human vulnerability. Industry commentators have already begun speculating about long-term implications. If Holland's health continues to decline, Marvel and Sony may face unprecedented choices about the future of Spider-Man. Options range from reducing his physical presence in films to transitioning him into a mentor-style role within the Marvel Universe, passing the mantle to a younger character. While no official announcements have been made, the possibility of structural change underscores the seriousness of the situation. The narrative arc is stark. Early in his career, Holland was celebrated as a prodigy, a young actor who combined gymnastic skill with youthful charm, revitalizing Spider-Man for a new generation. Today, that same commitment to authenticity has become a liability, placing him in hospitals repeatedly and raising doubts about whether he can sustain the role much longer. What once symbolized dedication now risks being read as exploitation, with a global star sacrificing his health to meet the demands of an industry that profits from his risks. Beyond immediate production choices, Holland's recent hospitalization carries concrete systemic consequences for insurance, union negotiation, and franchise continuity. Studios, underwriters, and legal teams now face tangible risks. Delayed schedules translate into increased budgets, higher overhead, and the need to renegotiate insurance policies that previously assumed a lower frequency of medical emergencies. Where once a single injury was absorbed as an operational hiccup, repeated incidents draw scrutiny that changes the financial calculus for every future shoot. Executive risk assessments that once prioritized box office projection now must include prolonged medical contingencies and contingency casting plans. Labor and safety stakeholders will likely respond. Stunt coordinators, performers, and guild representatives have precedent for pushing back when patterns of avoidable harm emerge. Expect calls for formalized limits on the kinds of stunts principal actors can be contractually required to perform, mandatory independent medical clearances for return-to-work decisions, and the introduction of stronger on-set oversight by safety officers empowered to halt sequences without financial penalty. These structural changes shift authority. Safety officers and medical panels would be granted operational veto power over scenes judged to be unsafe, removing that burden from single individuals and reducing pressure on actors to perform beyond medically advised limits. Creative teams already have a toolbox of alternatives that preserve spectacle while reducing risk. Rewriting action beats so that the actors' close-ups occur on safe ground, while high-risk moves are executed by doubles under covered masks, minimizes exposure without diluting narrative impact. Motion capture and full-body performance capture have matured to the point that an actor's presence can be convincingly conveyed, even when they are not not physically on the wires or in the vehicle. Camera framing, editing patterns, and digital compositing let productions maintain emotional continuity while keeping principal performers out of harm's way. These are pragmatic design choices that studios can adopt quickly and at comparatively modest cost relative to the financial fallout of prolonged shutdowns. Financially, studios will weigh short-term losses against long-term brand value. A delay that increases production cost is expensive. A public perception that a franchise disregards a star's safety can be more costly, measured in lost goodwill and muted box office returns. Merchandise, licensing, and tie-in promotions depend on consistent release calendars. Uncertainty around a lead actor's availability creates knock-on effects across ancillary revenue streams. For that reason, many executives will prefer structural fixes, better safety protocols, scripted workarounds, staggered shooting schedules that preserve future earnings rather than push a single film to immediate completion. Legal exposure is another dimension. Contracts typically include fitness for duty clauses and medical leave provisions, but repeated hospitalizations can trigger more complex disputes over liability and reasonable accommodations. If allegations arise that safety protocols were inadequate, studios could face not only insurance fights, but also potential civil claims. That possibility tends to sharpen executive attention quickly and can catalyze immediate operational changes, procedural, contractual, and managerial, that prioritize documented safety steps and clear chains of accountability. On the personal side, the logistics of rehabilitation and career management will shape Holland's near-term options. While medical confidentiality safeguards specific treatment details, the practical reality is that sustained recovery demands coordinated planning, tailored rehab protocols, staged return-to-work timelines, and alterations to public engagement schedules. Talent management teams, together with production medical staff, will map a path that balances healing with contractual obligations. In many cases, that path means phased responsibilities, voice work, motion capture sessions, and non-physical promotional duties during early recovery phases, followed by gradual reintroduction to any necessary physical performance under strict medical supervision. The situation also amplifies a cultural debate about how the industry valorizes physical hardship. Celebrating actors for taking risks conflates personal bravery with systemic expectations that performers must repeatedly risk their health for authenticity. Holland's repeated injuries may prompt a reassessment of that narrative, with a growing chorus arguing that excellence in action cinema should come from craft, choreography, and technology, not from the repeated medical sacrifice of a single actor. That reframing would change both audience expectations and creative norms, making safety a recognized production value rather than an afterthought. Fan communities and market actors will influence the outcome. Vocal support for Holland exerts moral pressure on studios to adopt protective measures. Simultaneous consumer impatience for new releases pressures executives to find rapid solutions. The balance of these forces will determine whether Holland's case becomes an inflection point, a catalyst for improved safety standards and revised creative practices, or a contained series of policy tweaks that preserve current production models while limiting immediate disruption. Ultimately, the most consequential effect may be procedural, a revised set of standards that change how blockbusters are planned. Those standards could include mandatory independent medical oversight, stricter limitations on principal actor stunt requirements, advanced use of motion capture doubles, and clearer insurance protocols tailored to the frequency of medical incidents. Implementing such measures would shift costs from reactive payouts to proactive safety investment, acknowledging that human capital protection prevents far larger losses downstream. If studios and unions act decisively, Holland's situation could lead to measurable improvements in on-set safety that outlast any single production. A systemic response that protects performers without sacrificing the spectacle audiences expect. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.